So, no.
It's always so nice that you guys let me know when you're out. You don't have to do that, but it's nice to know. Okay, so we're recording now for those who are going to watch later, because surely they will be around. Today, hoy vamos a practicar vamos a empezar con preguntas. We're going to start with questions in case you have questions, and you may very well have questions about certain things. So we'll start with any questions that you have. And after that, we hope to roll into our subjunctive practice. And we're just going to limit it at this point to those triggers, those items that were mentioned in that video 2 classes ago. We're going to limit it to that because there are just tons of examples, but we're going to show you some other things that, again, could be tripwires connected to those 6. Well, not all 6, but some of those 6 triggers. And we'll have you guys practice some forms. If we get time, we might move on to something brand new, but I doubt we're going to get beyond that, but you never know. Surprise me. Okay, a ver. I know that Luisito is not always the fave to listen to, but this was just such a cute video. I just couldn't stand it. It was so cute. Sí, este video de Luisito, our little thing about los abuelitos de China. Just jogging your memory with that photo there. Did it help for you to have the list of vocabulary to go along with that?
Yes.
Okay. Because one of the biggest things is when we don't have a list of what to anticipate, you start frantically looking, and then your train of thought is broken, right? You got to pause, break your train of thought, look something up. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you out. ¿Hay alguna pregunta sobre el video? The questions we're going to start with are going to be the questions that, or not the questions, but the prompts that I tied into that video. That's what we're going to lead with first. In terms of order there. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Anything you didn't understand of what he was talking about? Oh no.
Marilyn, I got distracted by the closed caption but that's just me. I did not hear subjunctive. I kept trying to hear it.
Oh,
looking at the closed caption and listening, I was just like, I don't
and I would have to look back.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody else did.
I didn't really catch it.
There were a few.
There was a quantity or something.
And I believe there were some para qué, 1 or 2 para qué issues. Yeah. And there were a few. So, actually, if you didn't notice it in terms of, there's a subjunctive, but if you understood what he was, the general idea, call it good enough. Call it good enough.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm also going to tell you, when you listen, again, because we in English don't think as hard about these vowels having, being really, really precise with vowels. Quite often that difference, when listening for that difference, when somebody is saying, para que lleguen, and ellos llegan a las, that difference between lleguen and llegan, it might go so fast that maybe you're not hearing it right away, even though it's there. But, as long as you know what they mean, call it good enough.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't make a strict list. I know there were a few in there. And the thing is, it will appear where it's necessary. It won't be, the subjunctive won't be everywhere. It'll be only where it's called for. So, yeah. It was in there, and sadly, I did not make an actual list of the examples, but I may go back through and check that out later on. Okay. Otra pregunta, ¿o no?
This is probably, I'm just curious because I was so fascinated by their talents. Do you think this is common or is this just one group?
No, I think it's common because Dave used to work in China a lot and he saw that.
Yeah, I was
He
in
saw
China and I saw.
people in the
I saw
park
it.
dancing and doing Tai Chi and all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
So, and that was decades ago. So,
Yeah,
I believe somewhere in that video, he said something about, he wasn't planning to do a video on this, but it so struck him just walking around that this is what he saw. It was like, oh, I should film this. And that's often how it happens. I think it is.
Mhm.
Okay.
I felt if I didn't have the video, I wouldn't have understood what he was saying. I really needed the video.
oh, right. Yeah.
There were so many words. If it had been a podcast, I don't think I would have known what he was talking about.
And that's why the video is, that's why I give you more videos than podcasts. And somebody at the end of class, please remind me to bring up the idea of podcasts, because I did have an idea this week and I did not write it into my notes. Let me type that up real fast so I remember to say it at the end of class. I do have something to share with you at the end of class regarding podcasts. Okay. Vale. Otra pregunta o no? No? Okay. Vale. Bueno, vamos a ver. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the prompts. And these are at the end of our slide set. So I'll put up where these are. Let's see if we can pull a rabbit out of the hat. Let's see if we can, let's see if we can get some ideas on ways to plug in subjunctive ideas. And these could go any way you choose to make it go. Voy a engrandecer aquí las frases que tengo. I'm going to make these bigger so we can read them more easily. Sí. Estas son ideas relacionadas con relacionadas con al video o con el video de los abuelitos de China. And let's see if you can plug some things in. And we're going to take a look at whether yes or not. No, we've got prompts for subjunctive. And here we do have a prompt with subjunctive. Una idea. Es importante que los viejitos.
okay, now this was, I knew I had a question. I was trying to think of why. This was the question. That's not vague. It's a statement. It's important that.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh, but it's
it
not
is just a
subjunct-
statement. You're just going to finish it.
Oh, I thought it was saying it's subjunctive.
It will need subjunctive.
Because
I don't understand why.
Okay, then that's a good starting place. Okay. Let's look at two ideas next to each other, which I was going to do at some point during class today anyway. Okay. Let's say you want to talk about exercising. Algo fácil, something easy. I could express this idea talking about just anybody without naming them. And then I might choose to say something like, es importante hacer ejercicio todos los días, ¿no? Mi teclado, my keyboard, mi teclado. Todos los días. Okay. This idea here es importante when it talks about anybody at all in general and doesn't name a specific person. That kind of thing doesn't need subjunctive at all. And this is really basic. Es importante hacer ejercicio todos los días. Es difícil. I could start with, instead of es importante, with es difícil. Es difícil hacer ejercicio todos los días. Es posible
Practicar.
hacer ejercicio todos los días. I could start this out with a whole bunch of es and description word phrases. A whole bunch. Es difícil, es posible, es necesario. And if I just use one of these es and adjective phrases, and I don't name anybody, then there's absolutely no need to plug in a subjunctive. Just flop in any old infinitive after it. Es importante hacer ejercicio. Es difícil hacer ejercicio. Es imposible hacer ejercicio. Es necesario hacer ejercicio. These little es phrases are considered impersonal phrases. Impersonal because notice, I'm not naming any human being anywhere in this whole idea. So how does that change? Now, you might say, well, I'm just going to, when I talk to people, I'll only use that. And you could, but then of course, somebody talking back to you is going to throw out this other idea because they can. And it could throw you for a loop. Now, once I have one of these es description word phrases, and I stick in a que and a new human being, I name a person, that is what is going to need subjunctive. And it's going to need subjunctive because it is no longer, it is kind of impersonal, but I'm naming people. So it's no longer, here it's 100% impersonal. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry. But now it's not any Tom, Dick, or Harry anymore because I have put up the red flag. I have put up the red flag of que. That's que is a red flag. And I have also plopped in a specific group of human beings. So now I need subjunctive. If I set it up this way, es importante que los viejitos, so let's see some examples of how we do that. Es importante que los viejitos
Hagan los ejercicios. Hagan
hagan
los ejercicios.
ejercicio. Hagan ejercicio. Es importante que los viejitos hagan ejercicio. Claro, sí. And you can talk about anything you saw in that video. Es because they did a bunch of things. Es importante que los viejitos
Practiquen
practiquen,
ejercicios.
practiquen ejercicios, practiquen bailes, practiquen deportes. You could put in a lot of things there, right? They practice something. Let's plug in deportes. Let's make it sports. Could be bailes. Okay, vale, bueno. Es importante que los viejitos
Estén en forma.
estén en forma. Bien. Exacto. And none of these are truly 100% impersonal anymore. The es importante is impersonal, but that que, and now I thrown in a human being. That is no longer impersonal. Now I'm naming somebody. And once that happens, we've got the subjunctive coming in. And that is just the way that is gonna go. Okay. A ver. Bum, 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 bum. So here is the contrast. These two things start with the same structure, but go in two different directions because of the context. Okay. Once I make it personal, and I've pegged a specific person. Now I need a subjunctive. Does that help, Pat?
Yes.
See? Okay.
Okay, but
And-
now you can use it, it's important. Okay, the dishes get washed, that also works. It's basically any,
Oh, sí,
Now.
es importante. Claro, sí.
okay.
Sí. Bien. Okay. So let's take a look at let's get rid of the old folks and all that. Es importante lavar los platos. Los trastes, whatever you call the dishes, yeah, los platos. I have no person mentioned, but es importante que mis hijos laven los platos. Now I have hung that on my kids as something that they specifically, somehow we are charging them to have done that, right? So because of that, and I'm going to take this off so I can, just for a moment, so I can get my, I want to get my, see if I can get my stuff back. I want to get my colors in. Okay. A ver. This little que is like a great big red light here. It's a red flag. It's a red flag, that que. Okay. Vale. Okay. Bueno, siguiente. Al envejecer, as we get older, as we age, ojalá que
Tengamos buena salud.
tengamos buena salud. Sí. ¿Vale? Bueno.
So now I have another really dumb question.
It's never a dumb
so-
question.
This one will be, ojalá que tengamos buena salud. Es important que nos ejercicio. Now that would be two.
Oh, es importante que tengamos buena salud y hagamos ejercicios.
Okay. So you don't go, it's important that, you don't go, it's after the salud, you don't say es important que.
No, I see what you're saying. No. So we've got a different kind of cue or trigger. They like to call these triggers. Here is our new and different kind of trigger. And now I no longer need the es importante que. This is just
Okay.
a different kind of trigger.
Okay.
Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. Here are the only really big ideas we're using for triggers right now. And we expanded a little bit with this one just to show you it doesn't necessarily have to be the word importante. It can be es necesario, es posible, es imposible, es preciso, es difícil, es triste. You know, it could even be something like that. Okay. We're only working Now, subjunctive has many more triggers than these, okay, in the Spanish language. We chose these because they came out of that video we had in our first lesson of the session. And we did it so we could focus down on some examples that are super common in everyday conversation. There are literally dozens, and I'm going to say scores of triggers for subjunctive. And if you are one of those people who loves lists, well, good for you. And sadly, as a student in high school, I had to love lists. But the only way to really get this is to internalize it. And the only way to internalize it is to say, well, okay, first of all, these things are going to be a red flag saying, watch out, I need a subjunctive. And then here are tons of examples using them, so that it becomes a knee-jerk reaction. What we want to happen is we want to do a limited number of triggers with things that are common in conversation, so that it becomes a reaction that you expect to hear that come out of somebody's mouth, so that you expect to say it if you know you have to use it. So we're limiting what we're using this with right now for a reason, to make it easier for you to internalize it.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason we have to train our brains to internalize it is that we have no good and consistent way of saying these ideas in English. English does many different kinds of structures when we use these general ideas, but we have no consistent structure. If you were coming to Spanish from French as your first language, you would say, French does many of these things. They won't do them all exactly the same, but many will be similar. So that their only hurdle is in the few differences of the triggers, and their only other hurdle is, oh, well, now I need to learn the conjugations. But they're not learning for, well, this is a reason. They say, oh, well, we have subjunctive. Sure, I know what that is. We don't have that crutch that we can lean on in English. We just haven't got it. Okay? So that's why it's difficult to figure out how to use. Okay. Sí, perdón.
In that one, as we get older, could we say, ojalá que continuemos a estar activos? Or would
Sí, exacto, sí. Hay muchas posibilidades, sí. Es importante que, ojalá que al envejecer, ojalá que continuemos, continuemos ser, ser activos, sí.
activos.
Es importante que juguemos a deportes.
What about the second verb? After saying juguemos a deportes and then something else, would that be in the subjunctive as well?
I'm sorry, where? Down here?
Well, for instance, if it's important that we play with sports and we exercise every day.
Oh, will
that
that second thing of exercise still be? Yes, it will. Sí, que juguemos a deportes y hagamos ejercicio. Sí, sí, sí. Es buena pregunta. That's a very good question. Yeah, if I pair two things up, but it's a continuation of that. Oh, claro, sí. Yeah, sure. Sí, 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 claro. Of course you will.
More than one subjunctive in a sentence then. Okay.
You could possibly. Now, here, I don't have more than one subjunctive because it means continue being active, and that kind of structure uses verb plus infinitive. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay.
Marilyn?
Sí.
Going back, es importante que, this drives me cuckoo. If I'm going to talk about myself, I'm
Mhm.
going to use subjunctive because que is the trigger. Is that correct? For example, es
Sí.
importante que
Que, and
yo,
plugging a person in.
I'm going to use me, not someone else.
Uh-huh.
Yo lave los platos. Now, the argument I think that could be made here is that I'm talking about myself. I'm not putting another person in. So it's not really subjunctive, but que should be the trigger, is my mind is telling me.
Well,
Where's-
que is the trigger?
Mhm.
I mean, the es importante que, that is
Sí.
the trigger, that whole thing. But see, the es importante, es is a verb, and all it says is it is.
See?
So you are changing the subject technically, because you're changing from es to yo lave.
Oh,
It's important that I get this done. And many times we do say something like, hey, it's important that I do this.
But there's doubt you may not do it.
Okay. Por ejemplo,
that-
here's something that happens to me all the time. I'm typing something and somebody interrupts me. Un momentito. Es importante que yo termine esta idea en mi documento. Wait a minute.
Okay.
It's important I finish this idea in my document.
Mhm.
Sure, I could. Yeah. But I am changing the subject from es to now I'm plugging in Jill. Think of it as plugging in a person here. Yeah. Sí, bien. Son buenas preguntas. These are very good questions, and these are very logical questions. English has very, very poor things here, which are bad comparisons. So, ojalá, and you can see, you can literally plug in any idea here that makes sense, right? Ojalá que al envejecer, ojalá que sigamos activos.
Ah, sí. Ujú.
Es importante que comamos una dieta saludable. Por ejemplo, and notice how it was a very natural reaction for you to plug this into a we idea. It was a very natural progression, but you could have it conjugated for something other than nosotros, ¿sí? Al envejecer, ojalá que todos, everybody, tengan buena salud. O que todos coman una dieta saludable, right? We can, it was very natural for you to go into this. Oh, it's important for us to do this, but it could be somebody else, not nosotros, but a different person. Okay. Fantástico.
I had one question. I was trying to have that same idea. Can you use quedarse to like stay active, or would it be better to do continue or the sigamos? Would you ever use quedarse? Like nos seguimos, or is that really just
Quedarse. Oh, you're thinking of stay.
yeah, like staying active?
Oh, wow. We love that idea in English of saying staying fit, staying in shape, staying active. There is a really good verb for doing that in Spanish, which is you will hear frequently, que nos mantengamos.
oh, maintain.
Mantenerse en forma is a very common group of words used to say stay in shape. And they won't look up the word shape. They don't use shape. They use en forma. Or, fit. Yeah. Fit. That's en forma. Es importante. Al envejecer, ojalá que nos mantengamos en forma. That is a great way of
Mhm.
Yeah, see, of saying staying fit. Stay is a hard concept to translate into Spanish. You look up stay in a dictionary and you see like a whole bunch of things, and then you sit and look at the examples, say, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't sound right. It's not like staying at a hotel, yeah, or yeah.
Place, it's like a
So-
state.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. Okay.
area.
Buena pregunta. You've got all good questions. Todas las preguntas son fantásticas. Bien. Entonces, sí, en las ciudades de China, los ancianos se reúnen en el parque para, and notice we've just got para. Oh. Cuidado,
Hacer-
cuidado.
¿Para qué?
Hacer ejercicio.
Para hacer ejercicio, para hacer ejercicio.
Bailar.
¿Por qué no usamos?
Para
¿Por qué no usamos subjuntivos? Why no subjunctive here?
there's no Q.
There's no
Okay.
que. Our little word que is that magical flag thing. Yeah, it happens when and if I don't have a que with this para, then we're saying old folks do this. They se reúnen. Se reúnen, they get together in order to this, and they're doing it themselves, and I don't have a K. Yeah, I haven't got a K. I don't need that, you know. The old folks get together and then they do this same thing. I don't have the word K. I don't need subjunctive. Los ancianos se reúnen en el parque para momentito. Para bailar, ¿sí? Para conversar, ¿sí? Muchísimas ideas, pero solamente el infinitivo. Here, just the infinitive, because it's not para qué, it's para. And para will use just an infinitive. Ok, a ver, aquí. Un trigger. No creo que. Siguiente. No creo que los ancianos en China
Les guste dormir tarde.
les guste
Dormir tarde.
dormir tarde. I don't think that they like sleeping late. Sí,
Hmm.
exacto. We could even change that to o podemos decir que duermen tarde.
Mhm.
Similar, una idea muy parecida a les gusta dormir tarde, duermen tarde. No creo que los ancianos en China.
Don't you need an infinitive after gustar?
We do.
Do.
Dormir.
Dormir.
Ah.
So how does duermen work?
Oh, this is just a different idea. If I didn't have, I could say no creo que los ancianos en
Oh,
China.
Okay.
O duerman, perdón, duerman. I'm looking at my thing here. Que duerman, perdón. Que duerman tarde, sí, que duerman tarde. Okay.
As well.
Sí, que duerman. So we're just having a series of different things you could plug in here. No creo que los ancianos en China duerman tarde. No creo que los ancianos en China.
Les gusten dormir tarde.
Les guste.
Gusten, maybe.
Well, les gusten would have to have a plural thing.
Oh, it's singular.
Well, it depends on what you put after gustar. Que depende. You'd have to name something plural. Que les gusten. Yeah, if they like doing something, yeah,
Okay.
then it's got to be guste. So yeah, it depends on the thing that is liked. And if the thing is liked is doing something, it always has to be singular guste.
Oh, so if you're doing something, it's always singular.
It's always singular, yeah. If you talk about liking doing something, yeah. Where you get that split into guste or gusten, then we have to say they like an item that is a onesie or an item that is more than one. Okay. Okay, a ver. Bueno, siguiente. Now, let's look at a different idea related, but it's going to signal something different. No creo que I am that idea, that expression says that whether it's factually true or not, it's your wholehearted belief that that second activity isn't happening. But now if I say creo que, I am expressing certainty, and certainty cannot use subjunctive. So this one won't be a trigger. Creo que will not be a trigger. Creo que los ancianos chinos
Hacen ejercicio.
hacen ejercicio. Do exercise. They exercise. Creo que
Se están cuidando bien de sí mismos.
que se cuidan bien, and that's all you need to say. Se cuidan bien, they take care of themselves. This se cuidan carries with it the idea of themselves. You can say de sí mismos, but it's kind of redundant. You don't really need to. Se cuidan bien means they take care of themselves. Well, sí. Que, por ejemplo, se mantienen en forma. ¿Sí? Que creo que los ancianos chinos pasan mucho tiempo al aire libre. Spend a lot of time outside. Outdoors, al aire libre. I'm going to try to take that out so I don't take up too much, make my letters all smaller, ¿sí? Okay. Bueno, siguiente. La ciudad de...
Pregunta,
Sí, dime.
for that se mantienen, why is it not se mantengan?
Because creo
Is
que
it a weirdo, is it not a weirdo word, verb thing?
se mantienen.
Versus
Notice all of
mantengamos.
these are plain old vanilla, present
Right.
tense, vanilla flavor, like getting vanilla.
So the mantener.
Mantener. Mantener
Sig-
works like tener. It's built on tener.
Tengo, and then a tenga. No, I guess I'd have to look. I thought there was a tenga something.
There
in the
is. Yeah,
present
look up
tense,
here.
But I thought it was
Mire.
in the present tense.
Mira. Nos mantengamos en forma, ¿sí? That whole thing, mantener will conjugate just like tener conjugates. So when I need subjunctive, I have to start with yo,
Right,
tengo,
mantengo,
right? Mantengo.
right.
And so nos
so then-
mantengamos.
Okay. But
Yeah.
so that's for all the subjective, it would be that tango or tenga.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas
So
it's only, is it me mantengo?
Me mantengo, perfecto.
Okay, okay. I was confused. I
Es
thought it was gonna
importante.
be a
Here's
G.
another one. This ties in what Esteban talked about. Es importante que me mantengo en forma.
Okay,
Es importante que me mantengo en forma. It's important that I stay in shape.
okay, okay.
Eso es, sí. Yeah.
Entonces,
But you only have that ga thing coming up because that's subjunctive. Why do I
Okay.
not have subjunctive here? Because creo que
right,
takes your trigger away. It
Right.
says, no, we're saying, I'm sure about this. I think so. And if I think so, it throws that action into the world of fact.
okay, gracias.
When we throw an action into the world of fact, that means I just got to keep it in what we call indicative mode, meaning it'll be a present or a past,
Right.
but none of that subjunctive thing. Sí, eso es. Okay, so creo que is the trigger idea, but no creo que does the opposite. It throws it into doubt. Doubt. I don't think they like sleeping late. Yeah, I don't think that they sleep late. See? Bien, ok. A ver. Y aquí vamos a hablar de la ciudad de Scottsdale. La ciudad de Scottsdale les ofrece a ustedes, les ofrece clases a ustedes para qué. And now we got not just para, but
Okay.
para qué. Para qué. Ok, bueno. Por ejemplo, una idea aquí. Some idea here.
Aprendamos las habilidades nuevas.
Que tengamos,
Aprendamos.
aprendamos, perdón, aprendamos nuevas habilidades.
Okay,
Bien. That we learn new skills. Fantástico. La ciudad de Scottsdale les ofrece a ustedes para que
Podamos mantener nuestros cerebros activos.
Oh.
podamos mantener mantener los cerebros activos. Bien, 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 sí, perfecto, perfecto, bien. Exacto, podamos mantener los cerebros activos. We can keep our brains active. Así es, así es. Okay, so you can see how we could pull out ideas from talking about the active little old folks with using some of these subjunctives, okay? And that was very specific just to that video, of course. So we'll get into more mundane examples pretty soon, okay? Here's what I want to preface this with. Before we get into any old everyday kind of ideas. Hey, ¿dónde está mi? ¿Dónde está mi página aquí? Where is my little page here? I just want to do a quick check here before we start our more everyday kind of examples with, and this is going to tie into that idea of that mantengamos. Que animal, what an animal that is. These things here that you see, oh, here's a great big lovely list that I had when I had to memorize stuff. This is just a list that shows how we can, what we look at first, what starting point we use to make a verb subjunctive. And that starting point is yo en presente. La forma de yo en presente. That present yo is what we start off with, and that gives us a base to form our subjunctive. And a lot of times we think of, oh, conozco, digo, hago, pongo, salgo, tengo, traigo. Oh, these are all irregular verbs. You know what? Technically, these are not irregular for subjunctive.
Mm.
We think of them as irregular. So just like tengo, that mantengo falls in this same category. Because the rule is you start with yo, drop the o, add the opposite vowel to make a verb into a subjunctive form. All of these things that we normally think of as, well, these are irregular verbs. These subjunctive forms are not considered irregular, because they follow that pattern of start with yo, cut off the o, use the opposite vowel. Conozca, diga, haga, ponga, salga, tenga, traiga. All those things, they obey that rule. Okay, vale. So what, however, happens when we get to what we consider the true irregulars? The true irregulars for subjunctive is a super short list. It's not that excruciating long list of verbs for preterite, or even for the go verbs. It's this is it. And so now you can see why these are what we consider truly the irregular forms for subjunctive, because dishes, dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, saber, those dishes verbs are irregular because I cannot start with yo and drop the o. The last letter is not o.
Mm.
Doy, estoy, voy. That golden rule of start with a yo. En presente, start with a yo form in present. I can't start with that as my building block anymore. And that's why the dishes verbs are the only ones that are truly, truly irregular for the subjunctive formation. Because I can't start with doy and drop the o at the end. There is no o at the end. Doy, estoy, voy, se, no o at the end, right? Soy. And then this funny little thing that is e, and that is the e of the, when we use haber in the personal sense. This haber goes two different ways. Haber is used as an impersonal, to just say, you know, ooh, hay un vaso de agua. Wow, there's a glass of water. Un vaso de agua is just, I'm saying this glass of water exists, right? But if I say something like, oh, I have seen that before, then it's he visto, and now I'm personalizing haber. So that's what that e is about. Ya he visto esa película. I've already seen that movie. That's what that e is about. Okay. Haber can either be impersonal, talking about just stuff that exists, or haber can go into what we call those compound tenses. I have done something. They have done the laundry, right? Dad has spoken. Okay. So now, while I cannot start with that nice golden nugget rule of start with the job en presente and drop the o, I do follow the idea of AR verbs like dar get an e for the ending. So, de, des, de, demos, den. Okay, vale. Fácil. It does follow that. Estar, an AR verb. I can't start from estoy strictly because I have no o at the end, but I can plug in este, estés, este, and that ending is the opposite that for an AR, estar verb, right? Estemos, estén, bien. But then when I've got ER or IR verbs like ir, saber, ser, haber, I will use the opposite. They're all going to have a type endings for the conjugations. So I almost use voy, but not quite. It's vaya, but it ends in an a. It's an IR verb, so it takes the opposite vowel. Vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, vayan, right? We don't start from se for saber. Sepa, where the heck does that come from? Who the heck? Sepa sure does not look like saber. Take the B, flip it. Oh, invert the order of B, make it a P. Oh, but I still got, yeah, but I still have SE, not SA. I don't, you just got to memorize this one. Yeah. Sepa, but again, you have A endings for an ER, saber verb. Sepa, 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 sepamos, sepan. Okay, bien. Ser cannot start with soy. So you just have to, these are irregulars because you have to just memorize what's that kernel oddball conjugation going to be for subjunctive. Sea. Sea, sea, seamos, sean. Y haber, the only one you really need to know for haber is haya for right now. Yeah. You could hear somebody using the haya, hayas, haya if they're using a compound tense. Okay, but we're not going to go there because that would really be getting into the weeds. So we're not going to go there. We're going to use haber only in the impersonal tense or in personal usage of it. Okay, so we're only going to need for this haber animal here that haya word. And that's it for now. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to be making things super hard for ourselves. And we
Marilyn, una pregunta. You know the saying "vaya con Dios"?
vaya,
Is that using the subjunctive then? Because it's not a go with that is not.
You can look at it two ways. You can look at it as forgetting the word que vaya con Dios, that you may go with God. Or you can look at it as a command. Be careful out there, go with God. Vaya is also a command.
Okay.
These subjunctives and commands are very tightly linked. They are in many, but not all cases, very linked in form. So a lot of subjunctive will look exactly and sound exactly like commands. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Because commands are not part of reality either.
Right. They're wishes.
Clean that toilet. And is that person you taught? Yeah. Are they doing that? My crew does not. Yeah. Clean that toilet. But you don't know if that's going to happen, right? I mean, this is life. This is the way it goes. Okay. Bien. Let's flip back to our more, okay, the point of the two little videos with the black chalkboard that you had for homework were to show you the true irregulars, which are dishes, dar, ir, ser, haber, and just, you only need haya for that one, estar, saber, that's it. And to notice that because we start with the yo en presente to give us our kernel to form the subjunctive, we will have all those go verbs like tengo, mantengo come back at us into subjunctive. We will have all those stem changes come back to us in subjunctive because the yo form, except for tener, because mantengo, or tengo, does not have the stem change. The stem changers come back because the yo form has the stem change. So let's see what you did with these. And these are more formulaic, so easier to do. Estos son más fáciles. These are easier. So we're going to have dishes, verbs like dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, saber, and we'll have a whole bunch of stem changes thrown in here, and they'll just be all willy-nilly all over the place. But if we start with poder, no creo que, I don't think the neighbors can hear all the noise from the party. No creo que los vecinos
Puedan.
Play that.
Pueden or puedan?
Puedan.
Puedan, yeah. So see, we came back to this whole thing. I know it's much more natural for you to say pueden, isn't it? Yeah, it's much more natural for you to think pueden, but puedan. Puedan aquí, sí. Puedan porque es subjuntivo, subjuntivo. No creo que los vecinos puedan escuchar el ruido de la fiesta. Vale. And the no creo que is a trigger. It means I've got, and I am naming an actual person. Okay. Dudo que, I doubt that. I am automatically throwing that next action into la la land of it ain't really happening. It's not part of reality. I doubt that the supermarket closes before 8. Dudo que el super
Cierre.
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 Dudo que el super cierre antes de las 8 de la noche. Dudo que is the same concept using different words. Dudo que creates doubt. No creo que creates doubt. And that's why the next activity after the que has to throw out into subjunctive. It's important that there's water for those people. Oh, they just settled this, we hope. Es importante que haya agua para los que viven en Río Verde. Yeah, that wonderful fight that they have been having for months now, right? Years, probably. Es importante que haya agua para los que viven en Río Verde, ¿no? It's important that there is water for those folks who live there. Pero haya, right? Es posible que it's important. Oh, it's possible. Hey, it's a maybe. Es posible que
Nosotros vayamos.
Vayamos.
perfecto, que vayamos a ver los fuegos artificiales el 4 de julio. It's possible that we'll go watch the fireworks.
Fuegos.
And I am putting in the idea of
We.
us, specific people. Now, I could have done a flip-flop and said this. Es posible ir a ver los fuegos artificiales. And that wouldn't need subjunctive because I'm not naming any human being in there. It's a Tom, Dick, or Harry situation. It's impersonal. ¿Es posible ir a ver los fuegos artificiales? No es lo mismo. It carries a similar idea, but that similar idea omits a specific group of people or person. So once I inject a human being into one of these es posible que idea or es posible ideas, now I need a subjunctive. Okay, so these two things express very similar ideas, but in the second one, the shorter one, es posible ir a ver los fuegos artificiales, I'm not naming any one person. It's vague. Okay. No subjunctive needed. Okay. Ojalá que la mesera. Ojalá que la mesera nos
Sirva.
sirva. Ojalá que la mesera nos sirva pronto. Hopefully the waitress serves us soon. Why not sirvamos? Why not sirvamos?
Because it's the waitress serving.
It is the waitress. We're talking about this person doing that activity. So that nos doesn't mean we're doing it, that we're sitting at the table waiting for it, right? La mesera nos sirva pronto. Perfecto. But notice we've got a little stem change in there, that sirva, right? Notice we've got a flat out irregular there, a flat out irregular there, a stem change there, right? A stem change here. We're just using opposite vowels at the end of the conjugation. Ojalá que toda la familia
Estén.
Esté.
esté aquí para la celebración. Ojalá que la familia esté aquí. Esté and not estén. I could change it. Ojalá que todos estén. Then I would use estén because it's todos, everybody. But remember, the only reason this is esté is because la familia is like a singular unit. I know there's a bunch of people in la familia. Otherwise, you don't have la familia. But singular, singular. Okay, vale. ¿Alguna pregunta con estos ejemplos? Any question with these examples that we assigned for you? ¿Sí o no?
No.
No. Vale, claro. Okay. Bien, 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 bien. Okay. Now, remember that this little thing has got to have a que and a human being to conjugate. This little thing has no que and will leave things alone. So, aha, ¿qué pasa? What happens here? Tenemos que poner la mesa antes de que la familia,
Se sienten.
Bien.
antes de que la familia
Se
se
siente.
siente. Se siente. Antes de que la familia se siente. Before the family sits down. The family all sits down. Because I've got antes de que, and now a person, or in this case a group, mentioned. Antes de que la familia se siente. Magnífico.
Una pregunta, does poner la mesa mean set the table?
Exacto.
Okay,
Sí.
gracias.
Okay. But notice if I just use antes de, now I'm not naming a person. I have no little word que. That que is a red flag waving in your ear in front of your eyes, however you want to think of it. Que is a red flag always. I have no que here. Antes de, before sitting down, is not the same as before the family sits down. Before sitting down just stays.
Antes de sentarse.
Nos
Yeah, I thought.
sientamos.
And here it'll just, the only thing we tweak a little bit, instead of sentarse, antes de sentarse, it'll be sentarnos. Why? Because I got that. Yeah. Okay. Bien. So that's a little tweak. So, okay, if I hadn't thrown this in, I didn't think about it, but I could just as easily do this. Antes de sentarse a la mesa, Antonio prepara la comida. It could just as easily be that, right? Antes de sentarse, right? Because I have preparamos, it would be antes de sentarnos. I'm just changing that little pronoun. But if I change it from preparamos to Antonio prepara, it becomes antes de sentarse a la mesa, Antonio prepara la comida. Antes de sentarme a la mesa, preparo la comida. Así. Ok. Vale. Te voy a llamar por teléfono. I'm gonna give you a phone call. Para que tú estés. Para que tú estés lista, if you're talking to a gal, listo, if you're talking to a guy, depende, ¿no? Te voy a llamar por teléfono para que estés listo, para que estés lista, depending on who I'm talking to, right? See? Para que, so that you can be ready. Okay, so that you're ready. here is the famous thing, and if you learn nothing else, know that this is a chunk that everybody says when they want to say the idea. Oh, just so you know, this is the FYI of Spanish. This is the FYI, except we're naming for your information, for our information, for whoever it is. Para que
Sepas.
sepas. Para que sepas. This is a little chunk, a 3-word chunk you hear all the time. Para que sepas. Para
So
que sepas.
could you abbreviate it then PQS?
PQS,
FYI?
no sé. I don't know. You know what? I have seen a lot of people, examples where people text each other with things
Yeah.
like our English FYI. I have not seen that example, but it may exist out there. I'm not sure. There are times when people, when texting, shorten things to letters. Para que sepas. Para que sepas is a great set of 3 words to just memorize. Para que sepas. Para que sepas. Para que sepas, no tengo mi cartera conmigo. Just so you know, I haven't got my wallet with me. You're stuck with the bill. Para que sepas. Para que sepas. Para que sepas, tengo problemas con mi computadora hoy. Oh, just so you know, I've got problems with my computer today. You know, we use the just so you know all the time. It's the FYI. Okay, a ver. And let's look at how, what's going to happen here? Tenemos que firmar, we gotta sign. Tenemos que firmar los documentos para
Confirmamos.
Leave it.
What are we going to do with that?
Leave it
Do
Leave
I
it as
have
the
para or
infinitive.
just para que?
Just para.
Leave the infinitive.
Confirmar, nada más. That's it.
Leave it.
Confirmar. ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Por qué?
No Q, no K. No K.
No que. There's no, that red flag does not exist. We've got to do the signing and we've got to turn in this thing called el contrato. If I've just got para with no que, I don't need anything other than a plain old infinitive. Tenemos que firmar los documentos para confirmar. ¿Sí? Bien, ¿sí? Tengo que practicar. Tengo que practicar para hablar mejor. Tengo que estudiar para saber de memoria los verbos o el vocabulario, ¿no? Tengo que pagar para salir del restaurante. Tengo que pagar para salir del restaurante. Gotta pay in order to be able to leave the restaurant, ¿no? ¿Sí? Okay, ¿sí? A ver. So watch out for para by itself. I don't need anything other than plain old infinitivo and para qué. Para qué with a human being, I need to do something about that. Just a couple more. Unos ejemplos más. Just a couple of more examples. Okay.
No manejamos.
No manejamos. This a menos que, just get used to a menos que, a menos que, a menos que is a red flag. Again, it's a red flag. No manejamos en la autopista 101 a menos que haya menos tráfico. I don't drive the 101 unless there's less traffic. Unless by virtue of what it means, unless that other activity isn't happening yet, or is uncertain, or is way up in the air. It's iffy. It's iffy. Unless means whatever is coming after it as an action is iffy. See? No te doy. No te doy. No te doy el chocolate a menos que hagas ejercicio. I'm not giving you the chocolate unless you exercise. Okay. That exercise has to happen and it's up in the air. It's iffy. So, okay. A menos que usted, unless you guys are tired.
Instead,
A menos que ustedes estén cansados. Vamos a jugar al tenis mañana. Unless you guys are like wiped out. Oh, we're definitely going to do this tomorrow. You know, unless you guys. See, a menos que estén cansados. A menos que, because by virtue of what it means, it's got to have a subjunctive. And you don't have to think hard about it. A menos que needs subjunctive. No tomamos un taxi, a menos que sea necesario. No tomamos un taxi, a menos que sea necesario. We don't take a taxi. We're not taking a taxi unless it might be necessary. Yeah. And I don't know yet or not, because it's off somewhere there in the future, if it's necessary or not. ¿Sí? A ver, ¿ok? Vale.
Sí.
Ok. Bien, ok. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of question about that? ¿Sí o no? ¿No? ¿Nada? Ok. Vamos a ver. We do have extra time. Sí, tenemos un cuarto de la hora. Sí. I am going to send in your email after class a link to the answer page so that you can see that. And I've got some things nice and charted out with red flag things. The red flag is showing you watch out for subjunctive, and with other color codes to show you things that are the dishes, verbs, and all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, all right. Let's do a fun. Oh, sí, es divertido. This is fun. This guy is going to maybe be speaking a little bit faster than what you're usually comfortable with, but nowhere near as fast as Luisito, nowhere near as fast. And this is kind of a very general, easy video to listen to because he's not using, he's not talking at the rate of a fire hose shooting water at you. But he's talking about stuff as he takes a tour of a city. So it's a leisurely kind of thing. And the point of watching this is in listening, and I'm going to put on our subtitles too, so that'll help you a little bit. The point is we don't use subjunctive in every single thing we say. Just like you switch between present and past and future, we'll flip in and out of subjunctive. So you need it. As my teacher used to love to tell me, well, Marilyn, I don't know why you're having a hard time with subjunctive, because you use it when you need it. I said, no, thank you so much. That really made it clear. But she was right. I'm sad to say she was right, but it doesn't feel that way, does it? Okay, let's watch for how many times we hear it. But it'll blip in and out. It won't be everywhere. And this is a guy who's taking us on a tour. Este pueblo de México es la otra Suiza que nadie conoce. This town in Mexico is the other Switzerland that nobody knows about. All right. I think actually they put subtitles in with this. Let me see. Let's see if you can listen for it.
Hey banda, ¿cómo están? Les habla su amigo Leoncillo. Bienvenidos a un capítulo más de Explorando el Mundo. En
And now that sound fast, but he'll slow down, trust me.
esta ocasión nos encontramos caminando las calles de un pueblo llamado La Manzanilla.
Ah, what are we doing here, folks?
Walking the
We're
street.
walking in the streets
Walking the streets? Where? ¿Dónde?
in a town called
La
Manzanilla.
La Manzanilla
the Little
Manzanilla
Apple.
de La Paz.
de La Paz. Manzanilla de La Paz. Manzanilla de La Paz es el nombre del pueblo. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? Sí.
Las montañas
Manzanilla de La
México.
Paz está en Jalisco. Es un pueblo en el estado de Jalisco, en México. ¿Bien? Ok. Y el nombre es La Manzanilla de La Paz, es el nombre del pueblo. Ok.
Estamos en Jalisco.
Estamos en Jalisco.
Se ve el pueblo muy bonito. Vean
Se ve, it looks, oh, this looks really cute.
nada más la arquitectura y todo está sumamente chulo. Y
Todo está sumamente chulo.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that everything is really cute. Chulo. It's an affectionate way of saying everything is just cute. Everything's so pretty.
aunque usted no lo crea,
Y aunque usted no lo crea, and although you may not,
Believe.
thing.
Oh, subjunctive.
That this place
y
is
aunque,
magical.
and although you might not think this place is a magical town,
este lugar no es pueblo mágico. Estamos muy cerca de Mazamitla, aproximadamente unos 10, 15 minutos, que es un lugar muy, pero muy concurrido. Y aquí, pues básicamente es un lugar casi de paso para algunos nada más, porque no hay muchas personas que conozcan este
no hay muchas personas que conozcan este lugar. No hay muchas personas. There are not many people
I
That
know about it.
know about this place.
that know, that are familiar with this place.
Conozcan.
And why do I have conozcan? Because he's saying the people who know about this place, it's almost nobody. No hay. There isn't. No hay is setting up
Mm.
an idea of people who know about this place. It's deserted. Look, nobody walking around down there. No hay muchas personas que conozcan este lugar. There aren't a whole lot of people who are familiar with this place. And to say that, you really should use subjunctive.
lugar. Y aquí lo vamos a explorar, se lo vamos a presentar para que lo tomen en cuenta.
Para que lo tomen en cuenta so that you can take it into account, so that you can make a mental footnote. Tomar en cuenta is take into account. So you can take this into account, meaning you can put it on your checklist. Yeah. Como otra opción, as another option for travel.
Como una opción de visita directa, porque aquí hay de todo, ¿eh? Así que bueno, banda, vamos a caminar las calles principales para que se vayan dando cuenta de cómo.
Para que se vayan dando cuenta, so that you can go along realizing what this place is like.
Mm.
Para qué. And they conveniently just, you don't even have to ask for the subtitles. He puts them up there.
¿Cómo está? Miren, la arquitectura básicamente es el estilo colonial de cuando llegaron los españoles a hacer la conquista. Este pueblo fue primeramente ocupado por purépechas
Purépechas is just a
hace
tribe.
ya muchos años, y después por los españoles cuando llegaron en más o menos 1580 y tantos.
So there he's talking about the history of the town, right?
Mhm.
What happened when the Spaniards came in. Here's the indigenous people who lived here before.
Se construyen estas edificaciones y se respetan y se quedan así. Se fijan, las casas son a base de adobe, pilares de madera, y así se ve todo, ¿ven? Estos son unos kiosquitos, obviamente son nuevos, pero se respeta el estilo. Aquí tenemos
Yeah, se respeta, that sounds kind of formally, respect the style he's talking about. They keep this downtown looking the way it looked in colonial days. Yeah. So when he talks about respeta, they respected the old ways and they kept all of the structures consistent with that colonial building style that was popular originally.
chicharrones, lavandería. Buenas.
I noticed he just said to that guy, buenas. What's that about? Buenas.
Buenos dias.
Buenas tardes. Yeah. Buenas tardes. Instead of the whole buenas tardes, you're just walking past. You don't know this guy from Adam. Yeah. Buenas. Yeah. So that's a common thing. You know, you're just greeting somebody, but you don't really know them. It's, yeah. Have a good one and keep on going. Yeah.
Ahí está, el caso con chicharrón.
Chicharrón.
¿Qué hubo? ¿Y cómo hacen las carnitas? Shh. Ay, huele bien chido.
Huele, that smells pretty good. Yeah. Huele means, that smells good.
Vamos caminando por esto que son los portales de Noé. La decoración, todavía tenemos madera en todos lados.
Oh, he says decoration is made out of what?
Wood.
Wood, yeah. Look at all this wood.
Vean ese candelabro que es ahí como de maderita.
Oh, and look at this little thing, maderita. All made out of little pieces of wood. Yeah, maderita. Yeah. Look at that candelabra.
Papel picado, todo el rollo.
Todo el rollo, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Papel picado, you know, the little decorations, the little hanging decorations. Todo el rollo, all that stuff.
Mercados Jalisco, San Miguel de las Flores. Ahí vamos a entrar al mercado. Miren cómo son las calles.
And now look, miren, that looks like it would be a subjunctive, but he's saying, hey guys, look at this. That's a command. So yeah, the miren looks just like the subjunctive. Miren, he's telling you, hey, look.
Yeah.
There, it's a command. Miren, look.
El perro ahí descansando.
Miren las plantas. Take a look at these plants. Yep, that's a command, and it looks just like a subjunctive because that's how they're related. Yeah.
Qué bonito tienen aquí. Decorado y son plantas de verdad, ¿eh?
Oh, son plantas de verdad. They're plants of truth, but no, what he really means, they are.
You're not artificial, correct?
They're not artificial, and you'll see, and he says something later that you get it. Plantas de verdad, they're real plants. They're honest to God plants. They're genuine plants.
No son de plástico, como en
No son de plástico, como en los otros estados. They're not like made out of plastic in other states, other places.
Si salimos por ahí.
¿También sí tendrá salida? ¿No es una casa?
No, o sea, empiezas a...
Ah, ya.
Aquí nos hemos encontrado de repente unos escenarios así bien chidos, pero luego, no sé, detalles como que no cuadran, así como ese rotoplaza ahí en la esquina, pues no sé, como que hace que la foto no salga del todo, como, no sé, como podría salir, nada más. Pero vean, este andador, qué chido está, las macetas colosales.
Look how cool all of this looks. He was wondering how the photos were going to turn out. That salgan is talking about how the actual photographic image is going to turn out okay because the lighting or whatever. Macetas son estas. Una maceta es un cubo para las plantas. Un cubo para las plantas. Your cube for plants. It's called maceta. Yeah. Macetas colosales, so great big potting. Great big pots of plants.
Esos son unos macetones como de 1 metro
And
Mira.
macetones, he just makes maceta big by calling it maceton. He just makes it bigger.
Mi mano, y nomás para que se den una idea del tamaño de la maceta. Y sí, son cositas ahí que dices, ah, caray, ¿esto qué onda? Bueno, entonces vamos a subir por aquí estas escaleras a ver con qué nos encontramos.
We're going to go up these steps to see what we find, where we find
Miren las
ourselves.
plantas. Órale. Miren qué bonito
Wow,
tienen aquí.
órale.
Decorado y son plantas de verdad, ¿eh?
Wow, real plants, none of
No
that
son de
plastic stuff.
plástico.
No
como
son
en
de
otros
plástico.
estados. A ver. Ah, sí, sí son de verdad.
Yeah,
Así
they're
huelen.
real. Okay, so you see there, so that's a really realistic, a guy just walking around, kind of giving his impression of what this cute little town looks like. I'll give you a link so you can watch more of it and watch from more of the subjunctive. But again, it just kind of shows you it weaves in and out as you need it, but it won't be every single
What made
sentence.
him think of Switzerland?
Yeah. I
Um, ooh.
Maybe we have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
Sí, momentito. Okay. Estoy buscando buena foto. Oh, and you've got to go through the rest of the video and watch how he talks about the little signs in the church. Okay. Y aquí. This is kind of why, but again, I'm not finding an exact thing. It's got lakes. It's got a little lake, and it's got some hills in the background. Hay bosques, hay lagos, todo el paisaje se ve muy verde. It looks really green, se ve muy verde. And so with him, this equates as, might as well be Suiza. Yeah. And you live in well, not all of Mexico is arid, right? So, yeah. It would be like us telling people go up to Mogollon Rim, right? Which didn't look anything like down here. I'll give you the link so you can watch that. But it's good because he goes not super fast, but kind of normal pace, but he just has little snippet observations, which is often how, you might converse with somebody in a passing way. Okay, vale, bien. Okay, nos quedan 2 minutos, so I've got 2 minutes left. We're going to, as many people this morning sighed in relief, we're going to leave subjunctive to the side for the coming week. Okay, but see, there was great elation this morning when we're going to leave it aside, but I don't want you to forget it. We're just going to leave it to the side a bit, and notice that doesn't mean it will go away, because it never goes away. But we're only going to leave, we'll come back, but we're going to go back to this idea of weaving all kinds of different ideas around and talking about present and past, presente, pasado, todo eso. You're going to get a new video to listen to, which will be way slower than Luisito. It will be somebody talking about all the different jobs she's had, which I thought was an interesting thing to talk about for next week. So you're going to get a video that will have all the subtitles laid out for you. El video de la semana que viene es mucho más fácil que el video de Luisito. Ella va a hablar muy despacio. She's going to talk real slowly. She'll have subtitles already plugged in, but she's going to talk about all the different jobs she has had. And I've got already worked out for you some themes, questions that we're going to use in some smaller groups to talk about jobs you've had. Most of us have had more than one job. wow, if you've only had one job, how did you ever manage to get through life doing that? But more power to you, I guess. So we'll have some questions, real general conversation questions related to jobs. And you'll probably have to switch into using some past ideas, and, you know, you can use some, but I same thing, some present tense also. Yeah. We can have that, and we're going to have a fun little reading. It's only 3 pages. It's fácil. It is a sea related article, but much happier than the current sea related news story.
Sea as in like the ocean, or
Oh, sí. Sí, un animal. Es un artículo que se trata de un animal del océano, de un animal del mar, y un problema interesante. It is not anything related to submarines, thank God.
oh,
Oh, oui. No.
You had something about podcasts?
Yes,
you
see,
mentioned
podcast. One podcast, for those of you who would like a podcast that is really es breve, go to whatever you use, whether it's Apple Podcasts or I use Google Podcasts a lot, or Spotify, whatever it is you use. No importa, I'm sure it'll be everywhere. It'll be CNN, CNN Español, CNN, 5 cosas, 5 things, 5 cosas, CNN, 5 cosas, CNN, it'll have the little tilde over the ñ. Just go into the search box on your favorite podcast site and type in CNN, 5, the number 5, cosas, 5 things. And this 5 things, it'll pop out like 3 or 4 episodes every single day. 5 things you should know. And it's probably only going to be about 5 minutes for every one. And now I will tell you, they speak not super slow, not molasses slow, but it is a nice short thing where you probably will get the gist, but it'll like slowly get you used to things that start to approach more normal speed.
CNN.
5 cosas, 5 things. And that's
Bigger
done.
5, bigger 5 or 5?
5 cosas, and you can type in the number 5 with cosas, COSAS. Yeah, and I'll put this in the email that goes out to you guys. And it is super great because you don't have to listen for like all afternoon, you know, it'll be like 5 to 8 minutes of your time. And there'll be things you miss, but it will slowly, if you listen to it every day, once or twice a day, because you'll get about 3 of them. If you subscribe, you'll get about 3 or 4 of them per day. It'll start to get you used to listening to lots of little snippets. And, you know, don't expect this to be like a magical thing, but if you do it every day, it'll start to get you more accustomed to listening to, you know, approximating native speed. Yeah, see, and it's always different information every day because it's with whatever is happening in the news that day around the world, everything.
Yeah, Alexa does it in English.
And there might be an English version of it. I'm not sure.
I think you need to know. Yeah, maybe they do Spanish. I can ask Alexa.
I did not check and see if there was. I just have this on and I listened to it and I thought, you know, actually this would be a good thing because they don't go super fast, but neither do they go super slow. It does approximate native speed, so it's a great thing to get up to speed, as it were. See, todo bien, all good. So you know, try it a few times and just kind of be comfortable with being uncomfortable for 5 minutes. But you will understand the general idea of what you're talking about, even if you don't get everything. So the point is, you know, not to get everything, but to really, really train your ear. It's a good thing to do. But the little article, the only other thing I'm going to say before we leave, the little article about the little sea animal, el animal del mar. Another good thing that is often suggested is to read aloud. Read out loud when you read, so that you make sure you're really working the pronunciation of all those beautiful vowels and getting them really exact. Yeah, it's a good habit to do. Just like we read aloud to kids, it's good to read aloud to yourself. Yeah, and break things down to phrases and do all of that. Okay, todo bien, all good?
Okay, gracias.
Fantástico, de nada. Fue un placer. It was a pleasure. And I think you'll have fun with that because some of our job questions are real